What we saw today was a clear example of one of the most revered coaches around world football, playing some of the most expansive, free-forming, beautiful football, applauded by peers around the country, going up against Marcelo Bielsa. And there was only really one winner today. Hey guys, it's your boy JT, and what a victory, slamming those Sheffield United Dons down into the Championship where they belong. Brilliant performance from the boys, was a bit cagey at times, but you know what, we got the job done. So let's get straight into this. We started the game like a forest fire. We were all over them like a rash they could not get rid of. They tried the Sudocrem. They tried any kind of pain relieving cream. It was not happening, geezer. We were on top of them from minute 1 to minute 30. And it eventually broke through in the 11th minute when the ball is played through to Robertsinho. Plays it in. Beautiful ball to Rafinha by all accounts. Takes it round him. Excellent composure here, doesn't rush it, doesn't make any rash decisions, takes it round onto his right foot, plays it across beautifully, easy tapping for Jack Harrison. Great movement by him, but you know, gotta be scoring that nonetheless. And we had a few nice spells of play, I can't lie. Rafinha started off the first half on fire, as he always does. He was taking people on, he was looking energetic, he was looking sharp, he was cutting in, cutting out, causing them a lot of problems. And I was really excited. I was sat back chilling. For one of the few times as a Leeds fan, I was actually just sat back, maxing and chillaxing, waiting for the goals to come flying in. And eventually one did, but it really should have been more than that. One such occasion where we should have at least made it 2-0 was Jack Harrison's golden opportunity. The ball was played through Tyler Roberts. It's a loose ball by all accounts. He really has to make up for it. Roberts beautifully gets his body in there, taps it through. By the way, before I get on to Jack Harrison, the foul by, I believe it was Osborne, how that wasn't a booking. I think it should have been a red card, but how it wasn't a booking at least. I know he had the head injury, which may have thrown the referee off at some point, but that was one of the most reckless challenges I've ever seen. He comes flying in, no control of his body, stud up, and then by the end of it, he's 2-footer in the air. And this is Robertsinho we're talking about. The guy's made out of glass. I'm surprised he didn't get injured. It was an absolutely reckless, horrendous challenge. Should have been sent off. Doesn't get sent off. Instead gets taken off as a concussion substitute, so it doesn't even cost him a substitute. Absolute disgrace of the sport by the referee. But nonetheless, Robertsinho flicks the ball through. Who's in there? Jack Harrison, back sticks, one-on-one. What does he do? He could have dinked it over him. He could have gone for the near post, but no, he tries to slice it far post, and it is a beautiful save by Ramsdale in the end, blocking it with his leg. Did make himself big, was great positioning by him, but Jack Harrison has got to be finishing that. He's got to take it quicker. He's got to palm it over the keeper, you know, chip it to the top left. There's a plethora of things he could have done, but should have really been scoring, should have been scoring, but there's nothing you can really do about it. But the fact that we didn't score and the fact that they didn't get a red card, it just really surmounted everything for me. It was a horrific 10 seconds, should we say the least. Should we say the least? What the hell? I'm still cut out about it now. Should we say that? To say the least. Learn your English, James. But really, those were the main chances in the first half. We had a few other ones. Dallas had a nice attempt. Rafinha got the ball in and around there a few times. And we were really just, you know, pressurising them, but not really creating that killer opportunity, that killer chance. And then it all comes through. It's the 45th minute, second minute of added time. Rafinha tries this lazy back pass. I don't know what it is. Could have gone for like a nice straight pass in front of him. Could have gone for the easy option. Tries a lazy back heel. Doesn't work at all. It's intercepted by the Sheffield United player. They run through. Comes through some comical defending, to say the least. Whips in. Comes slicing off Calvin Phillips. Falls into the path of Osborne, who slams it into the net. I thought Ayling pulled a miraculous goal line clearance off at one point, but it turns out it did go over the line upon later reflection. But what can you say, man? It was just kamikaze defending, and that was their one shot on target. Their one shot on target. The entire game happened to be a goal, mate. They had more shots on their own goal. No, they had the same amount of shots on our goal as they did on target in their own goal. What? And we almost drew to these guys. We almost dropped points to a team that had the same amount of shots on target on their own net as they did on ours. We made it hard for ourselves today. There's no two ways about it. Should have been wrapped up a lot earlier. They weren't really that special, but we did give them chances. But this is one thing you could also say is our crux mortem at the moment, and that is that we are not finishing the chances we create. We, instead of them, we had 8 shots on target, not 1, but only 1 of them went in. Because our next goal, well, to say it was a simply world-class finish would be a bit of an understatement. The ball's played through by Robert Senior, again, who was quality today. I said it before. He was playing the balls around nicely. His vision was on. He was alert. He was taking people on. He was tenacious. He was dropping the shoulder well. He had a good radar on him today. Plays a beautiful ball, chips it across the pitch to Harrison. Velvet touch, completely controls it down into the angle, whips it in delightfully with a nice bit of pace on it. Rafinha's backstick. But it doesn't get to Rafinha because the main man, Phil Jagielka, is there. Phil Jagielka absolutely slams it into his own net from about 3 yards out. Quality finish. What a geezer. Only geezer who's got more own goals than him is Jamie Carragher in the Premier League. And we regained our 1-goal lead just 5 minutes into the second half. And then the rest of the half, it was just counter-attack, counter-attack, counter-attack from both teams. Both teams' defences were more sloppy than a prostitute on the red light districts. It was ridiculous. We were cutting through each other with ease at times. And to be honest, we were dominating more. We were creating more of the chances. We were hitting them more on the counter-attack, but they still did pose threats to us. There were a couple of times where Llorente had pushed forward and there was a gap for them to exploit. Cooper had pushed forward and there was a gap to exploit again. See, when Llorente pushed forward though, Llorente did have more recovery pace. There were a few times when Cooper did get caught out of position and it did cost us a bit. But obviously nothing fatal. We had a great chance with Dallas. He gets the ball outside of the box, kind of slowly opens his angle up, smashes it just off the crossbar and the post, literally right in that top right hand corner. Would have been a brilliant finish if he did score, but unfortunately it wasn't to be. Alioski, I don't know what the hell was going on there. Was he invisible or something? Was Alioski invisible? Because the amount of times I saw Rafinha, Jack Harrison, Tyler Roberts, there was about 4 occasions with those 3 collectively, and Alioski was in absolute acres of space for the ball, and they either shot, made the wrong pass, which happened once, or just completely spaffed it into Rosed. I don't know what the guy had to do to get his goal. He really should have had a hat-trick today, Alioski. He was in acres so many times, but nobody wanted to play him the ball for some reason. I'm lost for words, to be honest. He's probably gone in there and he's probably been letting a few straighteners out. I'll tell you that much. If I was him, I'd be letting a few straighteners go because, come on, man. You got to pass it to him there. One of the times, I think it was Jack Harrison bearing down on goal. Beautiful run by Alioski. Completely delays it. Makes Tyler Roberts make the decoy run in front. Opens up the space. And then Jack Harrison decides to cut in and smash it. Near post. Goes nowhere near the goal. Straight into the advertising board. And you know, what else can the guy do? They had us under threat for the rest of the game, and we were shitting it, to be honest, because we only had a 1-goal lead. And when you only have a 1-goal lead, it's always risky, especially against the Sheffield United, who bring on a Ryan Brewster, who's very dangerous on the counter-attack, like we said, and has a rocket shot on him. Unleashed an absolute belter. I think it comes back from a corner, he volleys it, and it whizzes. Oh, I thought it was in, man. The deceptive camera angle whips just inside the post and then curls out at the last second. Brilliant strike from him. Where do you think Brewster's going to go now that we mention it? Do you think he'll stay at Sheffield United, go down into the Championship, or do you think he'll make that move back up to the Premier League? Because for me, I don't think he's suited to Sheffield United. I don't think he's suited to their style of play. I think he needs to be in a side which have a bit more of the ball, play a bit more expansive football, and I think that's really where you will get the best out of Ryan Brewster and allow him to develop. I don't think he is a Sheffield United player. That's just my opinion, though. As for the key performers, I think Llorente had a brilliant game. My dad was waxing lyrical about him. I said I would have gone for Cock and Strike. Ended up going for the opposite 2 centre-halves, but Llorente, what a performance from him. And next week, he can't be pulled out of the squad. I still think I'd probably put Strike next to him. Maybe Cock, but probably Strike. But Llorente, he can't be pushed out of the team now. That was a fantastic performance from him. He was constantly coming forward and winning the ball in the midfield areas, as well as dropping back and winning the ball there. He was alert, he was sharp to the challenge, and he wasn't really getting done up. Very intelligent player. And on the ball, hey, he was making some nice defence, splitting through balls. The time when he marauded down that right-hand side of the pitch and completely fluffed his lines, wasn't really too impressed with that one. That was a bit of a piss poor pass, but aside from that, he was really creating stuff, and he could have been up there for man of the match. Dallas ended up winning man of the match, which I don't think I agree with. I think first 60 minutes he was on fire. After that, he seemed a bit devoid of ideas. He seemed like he was a bit running on heavy legs, should we say, and he just didn't look like he had the zip and the zap in his play. I think Roberts played better than him. I think if you are going to give it to one of the midfield two, I think it had to have been Roberts. I think Roberts was class today, on the ball, off the ball, everything about him. He was in the right place at the right time, all the time, creating things, running them ragged the entire time, and I think he really had to be in the conversation. If not him, then Jack Harrison. You could say it was probably out of those four, but Jack Harrison, again, he was phenomenal today. Of course, got himself the goal, got himself the assist for the own goal, and aside from that, was playing some really dangerous balls through. Played a couple to Rafinha, he fluffed his lines a couple of times, and Rafinha, again, in front of goal, it probably wasn't one of his best games. You know, he did have a couple of good opportunities to score, didn't quite put them away, but you know, it's Rafinha. We'll let him off. Aside from that, he did do some good stuff. But again, I'd probably say if you're going to press me for one, I'd have to put it between Jack and Roberts. And I'll probably give it to Robertsinho. I was really impressed with Robertsinho today, but he was very close with Jack Harrison with me. But who do you guys think was our best player? Do you think it was Roberts? Do you agree with them that it was Dallas? Or do you think Llorente deserved a bit more recognition for the brilliant game he did have? I know he conceded a goal, but it wasn't really too much his fault. It was just a bit of kamikaze defending all over the gaff. So do you think he should have got it? I really want to know what you guys have to say. I'm going to run through my quick 1 to 11 of the team. I think Meslier didn't really do too much right, didn't do too much wrong, didn't really have too much to do. Like I said, they only had the one shot on target and he couldn't really do too much about it, by the way it came ricocheting off Calvin. So I'll have to give him a 7. You know, he commanded his area well. He didn't really do too much wrong. You know, from set pieces, this time from corners, he was actually catching the balls. Usually, he does that slap of the hand action that I'm always talking about, slaps it down into the box. This time, he was actually commanding the areas and catching it. So, you know what, for that, I'll give him a 7.5 because he did improve me. He did improve there and he did impress me with that. As for the defense, Llorente, I'll give a 9 out of 10. Fantastic from him. Cooper, I think he was good. I think I'll give him an 8 out of 10. He wasn't quite on Llorente's level. Alioski, because of the fact that he got screwed over on the attacking sense so many times, I'll give him an 8.2. However, defensively, I don't think it was one of his best games. I think he was a bit sloppy and he wasn't really tracking the runners that well. But offensively, I do think he was pretty decent and could have got himself a couple of goals if people spotted him out more. So I'll give him an 8.2. Ayling, I'll give a 7.9. Again, he wasn't bad, he wasn't great. He was, you know, offensively, he made a few nice overlapping runs, but then his balls in weren't really of the highest quality. Defensively, again, he was marshalling them out wide. He was a bit of a physical prowess in the box, and overall he played pretty good, but he didn't have that X factor, that Ayling factor. You know, when he's really on form and he's taking the game to the opposition and he's playing dangerous balls in left, right, centre and he's making the overlap every 2 seconds. It wasn't quite that from him today. He was a bit more reserved offensively, and for that reason, I'm going to keep him down at a 7.9. As for Calvin Phillips, I think, again, I'll just give him a flat 8. I don't think he was brilliant. Again, I don't think it was one of his best performances, but it was just typical Calvin Phillips. He was sweeping up the midfield. He was doing all right. But he did go missing in portions of the game, and it wasn't really one of his better performances. But it didn't really need to be because of the style of game it was. It was a bit loose, it was a bit end-to-end. So it really wasn't one of those that he'd affect too much. But I'll give him an 8, just to be nice, because I don't think he deserves anything more harsh than that. Now we're getting into the big boys. I'll start with Rafinha this time, because I think out of the four I'm going to mention, he was probably the worst. Nah, maybe he's better than Dallas. But aside from that, I don't think he was as good as Roberts or Harrison. The assist was quality, and he started off the first half on fire. But by the second half, he was a bit more sloppy, he looked a bit more tired, and he did have a few nice pieces of skill on the wing, taking players on, making them look like idiots. But his final product wasn't quite where I wanted it to be. It was good, but it wasn't Rafinha. It wasn't the Rafinha factor, you know. He didn't have that bit of pizzazz when he needs it. That nice bit of control right at the killer area. So I'll give him an 8.5. I'll give him an 8.8. Why not? Come on, it's Rafinha, man. I'll give him an 8.8. He played well. He played well, but he didn't play Rafinha. You know what I mean? He wasn't that just inch missing, that little killer touch to bang. He had it when he got the assist, but for the rest of the game, there are a few more things he could have affected. As for the midfield 2, we're looking at Dallas and Robertsinho. Dallas I'll probably give a 9. Robertsinho I'll give a 9.4 because Dallas was a workhorse yet again. He was a real engine in that midfield. He really set the tempo for the team and he was playing some nice balls around. Had that shot that hit the crossbar went in, then it probably would have boosted him up. Had a couple of nice other efforts aside from that. Tested Ramsdale a few times, but it's just a typical brilliant Dallas performance. Run on the midfield, tenacious, a lot of energy. But like I said, around the 60th, 70th minute mark, he did lose his legs a bit. He did look a bit more jagged and a bit less effective on the ball. As a result of that, I think he should have been taken off instead of Robertsinho when Klitsch did come on. But he still played well. He still played decently, but didn't really affect the game too much in those last 10 minutes, which I think Roberts would have. So for that reason, I'll give him a 9 and Robertsinho a 9.4 because Robertsinho was unbelievable today. Some of the balls he played, the ball to Jack Harrison for his assist for Jagielka's own goal. Just generally the balls he was spraying around, the running on the ball, the technique, unleashed a couple of nice shots on there. And he's really improving week on week, is he, Tyler Roberts. And I'm going to have to give him 9.4. He was my man of the match today. And then a close second for me is Jack Harrison, who I'm going to give a 9.3. He was quality at times. Some of the balls he was playing, one of them where he drills it, it gets no like spin on it. It just goes straight like a tracer with some backspin on it, just going straight diagonally through to Rafinha. What a beautiful ball that was. He was doing that all day today. He was taking players on a bit more and he was putting really dangerous balls in, was Jack. So I'll give him a 9.3. Brilliant play from him. And then up top, we're going to look at the main man, Patrick Bamford, and it really was one to forget for him today. He wasn't fantastic. He wasn't really putting himself about, and he did go missing in large portions of the game. So I'm going to have to give him a 7 out of 10. He just didn't do much. He didn't affect the game. And if you don't affect the game as the number 9, then what you're there for. And it just wasn't one of his better games. I still love the guy, he's still a class player, but it just wasn't one of his better games. However, what I will say, he did do a bit more than what Rodrigo did. When Rodrigo came on for him, I was like, okay, a bit of difference, a bit of pizzazz maybe on the pitch, some different angles coming in. But Rodrigo, again, he didn't affect the game at all, really. Fair enough, he was only playing for like 20 minutes, but still wanted to see a bit more from him. However, the team weren't really playing to his strengths. They were playing as if Bamford was still up there. They were lobbing balls into him, expecting him to shield the ball and win headers and stuff. That's not really his game. It's more on the ground, you know, play it in behind, let him use his pace, that kind of thing. And they weren't really doing that for him, but yeah, I'd have to say Rodrigo probably deserves a 6 out of 10. Bamford a 7 out of 10, and Klitsch, who came on, didn't have enough time to impact anything, so I'll give him a flat 6 out of 10, but that's nothing against Klitsch, really. He just didn't have enough time to impact the game. That about wraps it all up. What did you guys think of the performance? What did you guys think of the game? I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. Brilliant stuff, isn't it? Relegating them, man. You know, the ones that were more than happy to see us condemned to the championship when they got promoted the first time. How the tides have changed. It is just beautiful to see. What did you guys think of that? And hey, if you are a Sheffield United fan, I know I'm mugging you off, I know I'm throwing a bit of banter about, but it is all love and games. What do you guys think of Heckingbottom? Do you think he's the man to get you out of the championship? Do you think you want to keep him long term? And what do you think of your squad? Because it's been a very different season to last, hasn't it? From 8th to 20th. How the mighty have fallen. What did you guys think of that? I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. And I will see you in the next video.